very good afternoon and a warm welcome to the Citizens Chat Show here on Civic Space TV. We're streaming on YouTube. I'm your host, Judith team, and we're so glad that you can be a part of this discussion. We're happy to have you join us. And we do encourage you, of course, to subscribe to our channel and also share our content as widely as possible and follow us on the various social media platforms. And if you can, please drop us a comment in the comments section. Now, you all know that the state of our roads is a topic that touches every Ugandan, from the daily commuter in Kampala to the farmer trying to get their goods to the market. And a few days ago, President Yoweri Museveni took to his X handle to issue a public letter on this perennial issue. It's a move that has also sparked a lot of conversation. And today on the show, we want to look broadly at the general state of roads in Uganda, how our roads compare to other roads in the EAC region, but also what does a bad road network mean for the economy and the lives of ordinary Ugandans. We shall also scrutinize the content of the president's letter and discuss the way forward. And I'm glad to be joined by my distinguished panelists. From my immediate left, Dr. Robert Ojiambo, head of the history department at Kyambongo University. Good afternoon, doctor.
Good afternoon, and thank you.
Welcome to the show. We also have with us for the second time today, or on the show rather, Honorable Henry Banyenzaki, Director of Monitoring and Evaluation at the Operation Wealth Creation. He's a former State Minister for Economic Monitoring in the Office of the President, former Member of Parliament for Rubanda County West in Kabale District, and he's aspiring to return to Parliament to represent the same constituency. Honorable, welcome to the show.
Thank you, hello viewers.
We also have Dr. Bireete, Executive Director, Center for Constitutional Governance. A warm welcome to the show.
Thank you, Judith. Good afternoon, panelists and viewers. Glad to be back. I think I missed last week.
We're glad to have you back. Yes. Mr. Joseph Ochieno is also here with us. He's a political commentator and a UPC ideologue. A warm welcome, Joseph.
Thank you. I'm relieved Sarah is back.
Really?
Because it was, when you're not here, you suffer. And particularly I suffer with the gentleman to the left. But generally, I know viewers to miss you. But I'm good. It's good to be here. But Henry.
You suffer with who?
With the what?
Explain yourself. You suffer with who?
No, this is very entire solidarity, entire school. You know, it makes life so difficult. But
The
anyway,
schools.
Mir is the national school. But anyway, so Community is always very uncomfortable, you know. But it's a fantastic solidarity. It's a fantastic solidarity. Oh, yeah.
We keep the soldat on the show.
No, because the citizenship and the citizenry and the program.
Sarah, when you are not there, they almost chased him from the solidarity. But it was just a whisker.
I want to welcome. Allow me to welcome retired Major Awich Pollar, Director for External Affairs at the NRM Secretariat. He's also an advocate of the High Court. Major, you're most welcome. And is it true that you make him uncomfortable?
Was Awich a Kadogo?
Yes.
Add that title.
Thank you so much.
Kadogo Awich.
And greeting to our viewers. Of course, all that was said except the professor who says Matembe was not comfortable. Matembe can't be. Matembe is a pure Guarantare. The name Matembe comes from Nekemia Matembe. Nekemia Matembe is a very Taliban old boy. All the four sons went through Tariq. Maria were Anyanje, so we are very okay.
He was very comfortable.
Very
I must
comfortable.
say.
So the Lekemia himself and Obi 6 years, and then the four sons, and Asa was in Anyanje 6 years. Of course, he knows that she stands in when Sarah is there.
So it's you now, Joseph. He's uncomfortable. It's you, the uncomfortable one here.
Sarah, who was this professor who was saying that induction process in Anyanje? Yes, he was.
No, but it's force.
He mentioned it and he said that is what it was. Maybe you missed that stage. But I'm glad we do only in Intare, we do it also. For us, when the S2s are coming tomorrow,
They do what?
Night to night, they make you climb on top of the bed.
And swear.
and take 2 vows. One is to love Ntare till you die. The other one is to love Gwerenyenye till you die.
The school or the
So when the S1s are coming, these S2s are already graduating.
All right, thank you all.
No,
for
I
being
think
here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
on our part, really, and not to bore our panelists and viewers, on our part, you don't need to swear. But it's a written policy everywhere that Bwerantare is the thing. Sometimes it gets historical, sometimes it would work out to the teachers. When Ntare would be coming for debate, oh my God, all teachers would be worked out. You
Of
know,
course,
Ntare is coming, Ntare is coming. That
Because we had a
wonder why.
situation where they served us different food. You know, Honorable is saying I'm a Kadogo. Indeed, I am. Now, when we're in Ntare, we had only 9 NRA Kadogos in Ntare because of the pass mark. Other schools like Umbara High School and others had many, like 43 in Umbara High School at that time. St. Kagwa, they even had over 200. So, in one function in Bweranyanye, they made us sit separate.
Kadogos.
Yes. Kumbe, the girls had gone ahead and bought their own meal. So they served us. It was common practice during break. When you see a group of students speaking Swahili, those are Kadogos. So I met the Kadogos from other schools and we were speaking Swahili. And we said, the lunch the girls prepared, that meat was very nice. So this one from Barai school asked me, which meat are you talking about? For them, they had eaten beans and other things. I said, but we have just eaten meat.
Now
They
this
said,
is corruption. Eh?
They said, no.
Okay,
So,
no wonder the
so the
national
girls
crisis
had
in Ntare.
arranged that where we sit, they serve us quietly.
I've
meat.
always told you
Then when
guys.
they go to Marai and other schools, they were serving binyewa. So when we met as Kadogos, we would meet at break time and start speaking in
So
Swahili.
you guys, you
Vipi
know
habari?
where
Habari ya
national
school?
crisis
Because
came
ile lunch
from
ilikuwa
and it
nzuri sana.
started.
Hello, hao watu wamepiga nyama mzuri.
Those are Ntare boys
In
In
that
Ntare.
meat,
who are in
which
charge
nyama
of this
again?
country
They
now.
said no.
And they will be telling us about the state of our
That's
roads.
correct. So
And
Yes.
of course, all the issues.
And now
that the-
people eat meat and others eat peanuts.
Aha. We need to delve
That is
into
love.
that.
disorganizing,
That is love.
So,
But if you may allow me,
Yes,
you
sir.
know, today I'm from seeing off one of the services to see of our mother of the women
Yeah,
movement
yeah.
and the mother of parliament, Honorable Canon Rhoda Civic Kalema. You know, I don't know how to describe her. No wonder the speeches. Everybody, it's when the women movement came up to give a speech, and then Honorable Matembe said, the Archbishop, it's as if he read our speech. Like everybody speaks the same language about Rhoda. She really, whatever she touched,
Yeah.
and blessed hands.
yes, she had
Blessed
blessed
hand
hands.
or a nationalist?
Nationalist, blessed hand, committed person with a beautiful heart for this nation.
Completely UPC foundations.
I knew.
And that's true, yes. But no, delighted, and Sarah, thank you for saying that. Obviously, we're really, really sorry.
Yes. No, we have to speak about her.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can't do this without. These are the powers, and some of our concerns as a panel here usually is whether or not we can hit these challenges as this generation, particularly for the young guys watching us. But we hope you do.
So may she rest
Amen.
in peace. And I'm sure panelists have something also to add.
Yeah,
to-
just-
quickly.
Very quickly, you may not have met her in person, but
No,
certainly
I
you were
have
impacted.
never
Maybe
met
her
her,
writings
but I
or
have written a lot
read.
about her. When there is no way you can be talking about Ugandan politics and you don't talk about that name. Because these are the first ladies. Of course, the media has been saying she was the first MP. No, it's
No,
not.
she wasn't
It's
the
not.
first.
She was not the first. The first had come earlier. And
Elizabeth
what even
Lubega.
surprises you, the first MP woman was an Indian here, but a Ugandan Indian in that case. But the first one was that Lubega. But I think why many people are fond of, you know, the people whom we have been sending off these few weeks or so have been people who have transcended the NRM. They first worked in other governments and only joined the NRM later when it also came. So they have been people who joined so many generations. so many generations. But one thing that flows into all of them is that nationalism that we lack today. These days, you know a person because he is giving money in the village, is doing some dubious things. The debate between Kadaga, the former speaker, and the current speaker can tell you what I am saying. They are not talking about issues. They are not talking about what a national leader is supposed to do. They are characterizing each other. And the likes of Rhoda Kalema were not people, you would not even know that they come from Chiboga until you are told, because they looked like national figures who are doing everything for the country, and for Rhoda Kalema for the women movement and the girl child generally. And above all, Rhoda Kalema also in the church. That's why she was canonized. She was given that title canon. That title canon is given because of the contribution that you make to the church, and therefore you become, for those who know the history of the canons, those were the legal brains of the church. Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Banyenzaki.
I build on what he has already said. And you see, Rhoda Kalema belongs to that cohort of the first parliament that was nationalistic, that was patriotic. And as he's saying, these are the leaders who meant well and were not selfish to serve their interests. And indeed, I think this month or this period, we are losing those people of that caliber. We lost Kanyehamba, who was the same. We lost John Kazora, who was the same. Yesterday we lost Garuga, Emanzi Kigezi, who is the same. So, and when you look at that kind of generation, those Rhoda Kalemas, I think the Kanyehambas are a generation after the Rhoda Kalemas. And the kind of legacy and the patriotism and nationalism they had is what is lacking today. Because today we are having a different kind of cohort of people who are, I don't know, who are on survival. So we shall miss Rhoda Kalema when I was in Parliament. She always came when there was some parliamentary induction at the first time, and late in women issues. But unfortunately, the current cohort are not trending in her path, which is so unfortunate. Hope one day we shall have a reincarnation of those kind of leaders, like what we saw, what we are seeing today in Burkina Faso with Traoré. Yes. That's the real incarnation of nationalism, and some other leaders in that area.
Thank you. Joseph.
You know, the conversation about in Tare was not jealousy from Wiri, but was a deliberate emphasis about really the historical context in terms of foundations of our nationhood and statehood, which is basically this conversation. It's extremely important, and we throw them here, again to particularly the young viewers, we throw these things here deliberately because we want to invoke a sense of our history, sense of our foundation, but also to give hope that this country is possible. We've ever had some terribly, very, very good. Rhoda Kalema, what people don't know, is an absolutely beautiful girl of massive privilege. But you would not read it on her. This is a princess among the princes in Uganda, kingdom and establishment. But they worked, they performed with humility. And as Henry and others have said, nationhood. Where is it today? Is it about the constructions? Is it about the money? Is it about the ports? Is it about how you, whatever? So these guys drove and motivated people. If you talk about the Kanyehambas, you talk about the Kazoras, you talk about the Kalemas, in every stage, you'll find, for the Bazungu, if you don't mind, for the Bazungu there is Richard Branson, the millionaire Briton, the only millionaire Briton whom I like. And the argument, the guy is rarely in a suit, in a tie, and things like that. He lives simplistically. And at every other time when he talks, he's actually talking mentorship. And every other time he will tell you how he succeeded, and every other time he will tell you how he came from the other extreme, and every other time it's about enabling communities. Really, those are the things we terribly lack today. I'm not saying it's not there, but I think these are lessons we learned from these people. It was a cultural thing, it was a seasonal thing. Somehow, I think we've lost direction. I hope with some of these reviews, maybe some of us ourselves will be challenged so that we're able to build a foundation so that these guys do not live for nothing, because they've left great-grandchildren around who really need to be able to pick on that.
Thank you. Major.
Oh, I have really not come in close contact with her, and I don't have specifics to mention like I did with Professor Kanyihamba. Professor Kanyihamba had specifics to mention, but this one not. But the only thing I know is that in NRC, then you would enter Parliament and go to the gallery to watch. And you could see her swiftness in raising issues, and she would also keep the house alive. Maybe the only point I take is that I'm not so sure whether you have that kind of parliament, especially where the public can access and be in the gallery. I think Parliament has the capacity. Parliament has the capacity to put security measures at the gate, and also deploy part of sergeant at arms up in the gallery. So I'm yet to see a normal situation where Parliament entertains observers in the public gallery. I don't think they are in shortage of police officers to oversee part of the Department of Sergeant at Arms. So if you check already somebody outside, he has not come with arms, and you have the capacity to even pick him out if he brings confusion, why wouldn't we have the public watch and see the new Rhoda Kalema? Because for us as NRM, if it comes to the public opinion that Parliament is denying people chance to observe from the public gallery,
Is it the
the
case?
discredit kind of comes to us.
But the people in the parliament are your members.
And that's what I'm saying. The discredit comes to us.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm calling upon a parliament, a public gallery, where people can go and see more of Rhoda Kalema.
I'm learning
if they're
something
coming.
new here.
Yes.
There's a lot of restrictions, I'm told.
Yes.
These days,
You know,
if
to
you're
access
not
Parliament,
invited, you can't
you
go there.
reach out police.
You have to have an appointment.
You have to have a national ID. You need to mention who you are going to see. They first call that person.
Yeah.
So the public
So if
gallery
you say
issue
you are
is
going
by
to-
invitation only now. It's
Who
not
Invited
public.
to the gallery.
It's not open to the public, random visitors. Of course, Parliament largely has remained a mere building.
So that's
But,
what-
okay.
Let him finish.
So that's what I was saying, that my interface with Rhoda was to
In
see
the
how
public gallery.
And you could say that there are many upcoming Rhoda, but how will people see them if the management of Parliament is not that transparent? I'm insisting that if there is a discontent about the exposure of Parliament to the public, somehow it goes down to us. We are the majority, we are the government, even if it is in the theoretical sense, the three arms of government, where you have the executive, the legislature, the judiciary. So ideally, legislature is supposed to be.
You qualify the
But I
us.
can assure you that if something goes wrong, we still carry the burden. Because the belief is that when something goes right, it is either government or whichever department.
So you,
But
Mr.
if
Awich.
it goes wrong, it is NRM.
Okay.
When it goes wrong, if Parliament succeeds in the administration and the management, that is Parliament. But should something go wrong, NRM.
That's correct.
Same thing with judiciary. If judiciary were disposing of justice very well, judiciary has succeeded. But should something happens wrong in the judiciary, it is NRM. That's why I'm concerned that the management of Parliament should be in such a way that the public exposure is managed well, public are welcome, so that we see more of the new upcoming Rhoda Kalemas.
Just a sentence, I think. The other thing which is very unique with the likes of Rhoda Kalema, I think these were public figures who protected their families very well. You don't hear anybody that this is a son or a grandson or a cousin or a nephew of Rhoda Kalema scampering into public affairs. In fact, what has now spoiled the governance in Uganda is sons of great men, where you find the president. Yesterday I was so embarrassed when I looked at some report which was talking about the president and his relatives, and it was very embarrassing. Things that I didn't know. Somebody must be attached to Janet or Kutesa or to who, to be somewhere. And in our country, it really creates a very big problem, because there you cannot keep discipline, you cannot, based on merit and meritocracy, and therefore that's why the whole service delivery in the country has collapsed, because everything must be done by a child of a big man or a big woman. The Rhoda Kalemas, if there is anybody, you have to look for it personal. You have to be really very personal. I don't know any child for Rhoda Kalema. I don't know any grandchild, and so many things. And therefore, they are not disturbing us. And therefore, when they die, they go peaceful. And that's why people talk
and may they rest in eternal peace. But
If you allow me, the last word on Rhoda. Today we blessed her well as a grandmother of the Uganda women movement. Because the likes of Matembe say those are their mothers. So that was the first generation of women activists. Then you get to the generation of Matembes, the second. Some of us are in the third, and it's good we are seeing the fourth, the Gen Zs, who are the young feminists. But if you look at her key achievements for the women in Uganda, she was very passionate about the girl child education. And in the last 2 weeks or so, she has been calling me almost every Sunday. Sarah, I've not seen you talk about this. I've not seen you. And the last instruction she gave me,
Really?
of course, which is not unfulfilled. She told me that we are wrong on the issue of advocating for pregnant girls to stay in school. And she gave me 4 reasons. One, there are no maternal health services in schools. A pregnant person needs good diet and good health care. How does the school provide that special care? The second reason was to set a bad example to the other young girls, to think that it's normal to get pregnant, it's okay after all, the world has accepted it. 3 was the possible stigma and mental breakdown in the school, especially mixed schools, where the boys are making fun of the bulging belly and the rest. And the 4th issue was a recommendation to say that instead we should advocate for reforms for teenage mothers. If a girl has gotten pregnant, let her go home, nurse her pregnancy, give birth, be taken care of by the parents, breastfeed the baby for the minimum 6 months, which are mandatory for good health. After that, in those breastfeeding months, reform her mentally, counseling.
Rehabilitate.
Yes. Then after those 6 months, let her hand over the baby to the grandparents and go back to
and
school.
get a right to return.
Yeah.
So
Good idea.
yeah, so she said we should stop this thing of saying a girl keeps in school with her stomach there and whatever challenges it has. She said that is wrong.
That's interesting.
Supposing she's married officially,
The young
That's
girl,
a minor.
underage.
over 18.
It's no longer
No, that one is not a girl.
We're talking about the
We are
minors,
looking
below
at the-
18.
No, but I think Henry,
14, 15,
Yeah, but
Secret.
you can also marry
Because
and
those girls who
continue.
are keeping school are normally above 18.
some of them will be.
Some of,
Even
yes, but you see, if we have strong reform processes, even those who are married, it's possible to study on your marriage.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we need to build that reform process.
Okay.
But I see Doctor is
Yeah,
happy
should
I
I
think
as
take
our
an
discussion is going to veer
Okay.
to something else, but you wanted to say something. But
No,
No,
Can you-
now let's go back.
let's go to roads.
the
Yes.
yes.
So, our discussion, of course, not to take away from all these pertinent issues that Sarah raised, that came from our departed grandmother and founder and strong advocate for the women's movement. But we now need to come back to this conversation on the state of roads. So if you can go to the president's X handle and actually read. But what stood out for me, I think, when I was reading the letter was the comments that came in the comment section, where a lot of people were actually saying, look, you are saying nothing in this letter. You are not telling us anything new. And also all the ills that you are raising as head of state in this letter are things that have actually been happening under your watch in your government over the last 40 years, and you've been doing nothing about this. It's, if you go to the president's handle, it's a common theme that actually just stands out when you read a lot of the comments. Not to say, there are actually those who are praising and say, oh, thank you, and so on. But just very quickly, your thoughts. Is he saying nothing, or is he saying something? And what is he telling us? Very quickly, I'll start with you, Sarah, I think.
No,
Let
me begin.
you start. Yes, you start.
Let me begin because I wanted first to give our viewers a background of what we are talking about. And normally, if this country is to grow, we need to stop looking at Uganda inward, because we are no longer that. We are now a global society. Let's just look at the road network in Uganda. The total road network in Uganda is 100 and I've even made notes. 159,366 kilometers. That is total road network. Now, out of those, we have only 6,288 on tarmac. And when we say tarmac, we are saying with the potholes, because it is very, very difficult to find the pure tarmac. And if you have finished 6,288. Let's first rush and compare with our neighbors. Kenya has a total road network of 239,105. Okay, a very lazy person will argue that Kenya is bigger than Uganda. Therefore, it is supposed to have that. So I moved to Tanzania, which is bigger than all of us. Because Tanzania, the size is as big as Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda to get Tanzania. Tanzania has 190 kilometer roads, the whole country.
Is that tarmac or all roads?
No, all roads. But what is unique with the Tanzania? Tanzania is unique that it is different from the two other countries. Tanzania, in addition to roads, they have the longest railway network in East Africa, if not in Africa. With just, I think it is Morocco, Ethiopia, and Egypt.
South Africa?
And South Africa. They have the old Tanzara Railway that starts from Dar es Salaam and crosses to Zambia, Mozambique, and those other countries. That old network, and it works. It goes to Mbeya, it goes to Bukoba, it goes to all parts of the country. Then they now have the new standard gauge railway, which starts from Dar es Salaam. Right now it is in Dodoma, crossing slightly into the central part, but targeting Arusha and other places. So in addition to road network, they have very good railway network. In addition, they have a very developed air transport to an extent that domestic travels are higher than international travels. They have almost a very nice airport in every region. There is an airport in Kilimanjaro, there is an airport in Mbeya, there is an airport in Bukoba,
Mwanza.
there is an airport in Mwanza, and some of these are international airports.
Zanzibar.
There is an airport in Zanzibar, and most of these are international, and they have both cargo and the passenger carriers. So Tanzania, in terms of transport, is almost the best, because even me, I've ever used the air transport from Dar es Salaam to Mwanza, and the cost is almost the same as a bus. Almost. The bus is just slightly by maybe 20,000. So Tanzania has an advantage. Now let's come back to Uganda. Out of the 159,000, 20,854 are national roads, these which run across the country. Then 36,603 are district roads, 19,559 are urban roads, then 79, the biggest chunk, almost the biggest chunk, almost half, because the other one is 80. Those others are 80. 79 are community roads.
79,000.
79,447 are community roads. Now, these community roads are these small things in our villages. Some are maram, some are made, some are, they're really terrible in most cases. The ones which are really good are first-class maram roads. In fact, the best roads in Uganda are first-class maram roads. They are better than the tarmac, because for them, they don't have these other issues. Now, looking at this all, there have been so many programs to try and upgrade these roads to tarmac. So when you hear that Uganda is constructing a road, they are not breaking a bush and opening up a new road. There are a few, like the Northern Bypass and a few others, which were opened from zero. But in most times, we are trying to turn a tarmac road to, a maram road to a tarmac road. That's what we are doing. Or repairing the old maram tarmac road that collapsed. Or extending it. It had stopped somewhere, and now you are extending it somewhere. So right now, we have a lot of projects, and that's where the letter comes from, which had been put up to build a number of roads. I'll just mention a few. We had the Jinja Kampala, terrible road. One of the worst roads in DC. I sometimes don't know where to pass, and Jinja is my home. So in most cases, I pass Kayunga or the other side. The Mabira one now is impossible. Then we have Busunju Kiboga, we have Mitiana Mubende, we have Mbarara Ushenyi.
Terrible
One of
road.
the worst now. We are also
Very,
in Uganda.
very
Yes.
terrible road.
That's
One of
small
the-
Oh my
stretch.
God.
One of the worst. You can take 4 hours there.
Yeah.
Then there is Chegegwa, Uchenjojo, then and many others. They were working on many roads. In fact, it was a deliberate plan. When Katumba went there, he really tried to make sure that all the roads are rejuvenated. Now, recently there were 2 developments. The first development was to have a priority in Congo. And in Congo, we are building there, or we have already built, kilometers, 223 kilometers. I did not have time to
Of
get
tarmac.
I did not get time to disagree.
Whether it's tarmac or maram.
But 223 kilometers in Democratic Republic of Congo, constructed by Uganda. Then the other development was the oil roads. In fact, this 6,000 has been so much influenced by the oil roads in the areas of Hoima, in the areas of Bulisa, in the areas of Chiboga, and the other places, Chiboga, as you come this side. So in 2011, we had the 3,000, about 3,600 tarmac roads. So since 2011, we have doubled. We have doubled the tarmac roads. But the trouble is that most of these roads are not so much targeting production, except the oil roads. Majority of the roads that we're working on are political roads. You go to the president, you go to the party, you go anywhere, and you shout, I want a road. And if you are powerful, you are given one. Especially in northern Uganda, in eastern Uganda. They are not going, because you see, I want to give viewers a historical,
Very biased.
a historical understanding of roads. In Uganda, roads started as links of production, where the colonialists and the kings, even before the colonialists came, the kings and the chiefs and the people who are in charge of government always wanted to link areas of production. And that was sensible, because linking areas of production would influence now settlement, and it would also influence the development of centers. These days, if a powerful man is in Butembe and there is a road that has been disturbing him and his family, he goes and puts pressure, they work on the road, whether the road is used by the majority of the people or not, it becomes a center point that this road and this road was made because of me, and therefore I have a right to lead you, and so on. So finally, as I finish with the letter, the letter was responding to government change of priority. Government had prioritized for a very long period. When you read the budget, the priority would be infrastructure development. Then the other priority would be education, security, and then you would go to empowerment, empowerment of people from poverty and so on. Now, government has changed its priorities. Of course, security still remains a priority. Education remains a priority. But they wanted to reduce on infrastructure development and deal with now the Honorable's docket of economic empowerment. And therefore, the president is telling people in the letter, 3 things I saw in the letter. That number 1, we must have priorities. And once we have priorities, we stop kumansa. He normally uses that verb of kumansa. He does not want to put here money, to put there money, to put here money, but to deal with one. And he gives the example of NRA, which I find very funny, because you cannot run in this country like NRA, like fighters. So that in NRA, they said that let people first sleep in Mama Ingia Pole as they buy guns and increase on human resources. I wish soldiers would hear this and get here. So finally, I think the president's letter is just his usual gimmick of trying to disorient people when they demand for certain things, and trying to think that his idea is the best. And I am one of the people who say no. His idea is not always the best. Sometimes his idea is good, but not always. Like on the issue of roads, the road network, yes, had developed to 6,000, as I mentioned it, but today, when you go, the roads, most of them are impassable. You really struggle to reach wherever you are going. So they are there, the network is there, but it needs a good plan of rehabilitation. And that is the biggest problem that we have in Uganda. We construct a road, but we don't have a good plan of rehabilitating that road and keep it. Even in Kampala here, something starts as a pothole, before you know it is a ditch, and you wonder whether KCCA went to sleep. So rehabilitation is a very big problem, and I don't think that one would need that stopping of kumasa. Rehabilitation should be constant in the budget.
Thank you. Let me come to you, Honorable Banyenzaki. As someone who sat in the executive, okay, you sat in the executive and in a very important docket, economic monitoring. Robert here has given us a very good, he's broken down the numbers for us, the statistics in terms of mileage or kilometers and so on, and also given us a very good comparison, a regional perspective. And when he was talking, I was actually curious, the investments Uganda is making in terms of road expansion in the DRC, and also looking at the state of the Kampala Jinja Road, I understand DRC is a strategic trading partner for Uganda, but also our eastern route is that's our gateway to the sea, which is the closest we can get to the sea. And also that opens us to global trade and commerce and so on. I just want to understand, how does Cabinet make decisions? How does it prioritize where to invest and where not to invest? And does it actually make sense that we have to put all these investments in the road sector in the DRC while our closest trading route is actually not in a very good state?
The problem we're witnessing now is you weigh it and you place it on the political economy of our state, of our country. Because now, why we are having this kind of lapse is because we are using the word priority. Priority has been placed on political issues rather than on the infrastructure and social services. We are witnessing this precisely because we are in the political year, electioneering year. So all the budget is good towards achieving that. And I'm glad I'm talking this on this Civic Space TV. The problem is that our citizens now are not even aware on what they should demand. I was asking my comrade Awich that for how many months now are we into electioneering of the NRM primaries or code structures, whatever it is. And it's almost taking us over how many months? Where are the resources coming from? And you can see how people are engaged now, how much money we are putting in there. From that, we are going into national electioneering. You know what it means to keep the president on the trail every day. Those are resources. So the citizens have not come to demand these infrastructure and social services, but they have been duped into going to this electioneering kind of gimmick, and the resources are going there. And notwithstanding that also, when you look at these roads, there's also planning is lacking. I don't think we need a super highway for trailers from Kampala to Mombasa. No. Why would we need that? All we need is to use Lake Victoria. You get a train or whatever you call it, SGR, docks at Kisumu. It comes by rail it comes on the sea, it comes on the lake, and it docks at Port Bell. Then you have goods in Kampala. It docks at Masaka. Then you have goods in Masaka. Then you know, that is all we need. That's what we should be planning. You know, if we are coming from Dar es Salaam to Mwanza, Port Bell, Bukakata, wherever it is. So the issue of planning. So you don't need a super highway for Jinja Road. No, you don't need. You don't need that super highway. You don't need. That highway maybe we would be having, it should be for cars to take us to go to Jinja for holidays. But in as far as getting things from Mombasa, from Dar es Salaam, from Tanga, you need you need to have Lake Victoria navigated. So, and when you see us now planning for the SGR from Busia Manya to where, we should be planning for ports. Look, go and see Port Bell, dilapidated. Port Bell has been reduced into a weekend get out for eating fish, which is badly done without too much oil. That is what Port Bell has been reduced to. When you look at this port which was being planned, I don't know for how many years, it is still in the planning stage. The implementation has failed. So navigation. So planning, that's what I'm talking about. 2, we are also suffering from hyperinflated cost of doing roads. We have the highest the most expensive road in the world is in Uganda.
True.
Entebbe, this Kampala Entebbe Express, the highest,
Most expensive.
the most expensive road in the world. We have it here, which means that's the trend we are following. So where we would have had 3 highways, we are having 1. The money that was used to build the Kampala Entebbe would have been the same money used to build the highway to Jinja, same money that money. So that brings us also into the issues of Njawulo. Where does it come from? Are we Major Awich will help me? Because we are comrades in this struggle. You know? And I'm talking about it, even in cabinet, we would have that kind of discussion. So the cost of doing road, the hyperinflated, the people with Njawulo, and you also have to mind, who are these brokers? Where are they coming from? What is the center of brokerage of those roads? The citizens should demand to know some of these things. Poor planning, inflated cost of road, and even planning. For you are saying, let me defend my brothers from northern Uganda before they jump on you. When you say that these roads of northern Uganda are political, no. Northern Uganda had been marginalized for long. And the roads which were being done were basically south. For 20 years, no road was being constructed in northern Uganda because of the Rakwena issue and other issues. And for 20 years, roads were being constructed in western Uganda and southern Uganda. So you can imagine what has gone wrong there. Northern Uganda is the most productive area, their soil. That is what it is. Northern Uganda is feeding into southern Sudan. That's a big economy. So those roads in northern Uganda, we have not even done them, we have not even done a favor to that region in as far as infrastructure is concerned. And of course, you are right when you talk about even in internal the domestic flights. I don't need to drive my car up to Kabale when the whole day. Would be using these internal flights. At one time, I was passing through Chigari to come to Kabale. And one time I had an opportunity to explain myself, knowing what Rwanda was. So I wanted, yes, it is cheaper for me, even up today. It is cheaper for me to fly to Kigali and I get my car for 1 hour, go to Kabale. Because I will use about 1.2 million.
Yeah.
But if I use my car, I will spend more than that. The cost of serving the car, the cost of fuel, the time, I will use more than 1.2 million.
So there are no flights going to Kabale?
No. The only flight which was Soro. But is
these are small
those small ones. But again, they are not reliable even in time. So what I'm saying is that at one time, I took an advantage when President Kagame was visiting Uganda and it was at Katuna. I had to jokingly explain myself because I never wanted to be misunderstood by the Rwanda government. That why am I visiting Rwanda so much? Because, I had to explain myself jokingly that we are all one. And I was telling Kagame, I'm using Chigari to, you see. Anyway, back to the point. You can see where internal flights, there were these internal air, what do we call them? Airstrips. They are not there anymore. There was one in Kabala. There was one.
For airstrips.
There was one in Barara. There was one in Mbale. The Kasese one is still there, but it's like a play field. The Kisoro one has been done. This is the advocate. You see, Kisoro should have been an international airport. Northern Uganda should be having one now, but I understand now we are making an international airport in Karamoja. Yes. So the planning aspect, and you see what has gone wrong. You get.
Why don't we first give those people food?
Yeah,
Which
well, what has gone wrong? And you see the whole thing, that all brings us into planning. Planning is very fake. And yes, you are saying, what were we doing in cabinet These issues in cabinet, they come. In the cabinet, there are those who are rebels. Even from being a rebel MP, I went to be a rebel cabinet member.
Now this is breaking news.
And I can tell you who were the rebels, cabinet rebels. Of course, there are those who are definite. Sarapendi, Nantaba, they are not in cabinet anymore. Rwamiram is still surviving, hanging in there. He has never been a full cabinet minister. Let me not go into cabinet secretary. But even within cabinet, I can tell you for a fact that one time I wrote a paper, I had a paper in cabinet to present on social services and what. When the chairperson who was chairing that cabinet on that day looked at my paper, fortunately it was not the president. He was one of those prime ministers. He looked at it and said, this paper looks as if it is coming from the opposition. We are not going to discuss this paper.
Seriously? Wow.
So I will never forget that.
Wow.
I will never forget that. So when you see some of us now, like for example, I'm going to stand in Rwanda County West, and I've opted to go independent. It's not by accident. I want to have my views without being subjected to UPC ideology, DP ideology, NRM ideology. I want my presentation in Parliament to be people-centered. People-centered.
UPC will do you very well, but I get you.
I don't know. So I don't know whether I'm within my time.
Yeah, it's fine.
So, still on roads. We are on planning, priorities, political economy of this country, and many more others. Even corruption, we talked about it. So, when I see my good friend, General Katumba Wamara coming to lament before Parliament, on which roads to have been, suspended, what, even some of these resources that we would have used again. Look at the Parliament. I would always say this. We are coming 600 members of Parliament. The cost of running that Parliament, we are running at Parliament that 20% of the resources running the Parliament, rather, the resources which are running Parliament now, if we are to use 20% of the resources there, would be enough to run Parliament. That is, if we have a lean Parliament that is effective and efficient. And that one brings back to what we are discussing on Honorable Rhoda Kalema. That was a Parliament which was lean, and it was effective, and it was efficient. We are having a Parliament of 600, we are closing the mark 600 members of Parliament. You are having a cabinet of 81 members of the cabinet. Compared to the economy of the biggest economy in the world, the United States of America, which are having 27, something like that. Kenya, the biggest economy in East Africa, which is like 4 times the economy of Uganda, it has also 20 something like that, 27, 28 cabinet ministers. And then you talk about this thing, and we continue expanding it. And I was reading a headline. Some of us these days we even no longer read those things because it is so disappointing. My president is defending that huge cabinet. And the people continue demanding new districts, new administrative centers. What do you expect? You reap what you sow. The citizens are reaping what they sow. Even in Kitovu, where I got St. Henry's College. For me, I went again to St. Henry's College at it says Chosimba, Chokungura, or some Chonanya, or something like that. What you plant is what you harvest. So we as the citizens, we have planted a very expensive administrative political structure. So we must get the same. What are we getting out of this bloated government, bloated cabinet? high inflated salaries of members of parliament. No wonder there is this do or die, because the salaries are inflated, cabinet is inflated, everything is bloated. Bloated parliament, bloated expense, bloated road construction network. So I think
It's
I
okay.
pass the baton to
It's
Sarah.
fine. And I see Sarah's checking her time. I know she has to run for something, so she'll be leaving us shortly. So basically what you've been saying, you've been reiterating what the president has said, not just in this letter, but time and again, combating corruption and mismanagement in the road sector, the persistence of poor quality roads, mismanagement, corruption, inefficiency, etc. He's talked about this a lot. But why do these problems persist, Sarah?
You know, before I go into why the problems persist, I want to, you know, if you allow me 2 points on the road network, and I associate myself with the submissions of the two panelists. If you compare the size of roads, we are still constructing narrow roads as compared to the expansion of the population. I have seen on several occasions President Museveni, you know, describing our roads as a traffic jam as a sign of progress. And I think it's our problem as a people. We have acted in critical governance issues. And so let's say this, we've acted as fools, and our leaders also treat us as fools. The crisis of traffic jam in Kampala is evidence of what Honorable Banyenzaki is saying, poor planning. Or maybe the so-called planners are completely clueless on what should be done. If you pick the Kampala plan, Idi Amin had especially a blueprint. The Kampala blueprint developed under Idi Amin.
Yeah, that's a great man.
If that plan, Kampala blueprint, was implemented, developed under Idi Amin, who was undermined as uneducated, in other words, the leaders who followed Idi Amin have not yet implemented that blueprint. It's largely transport. Developing Kampala through a proper, connected transport network, and that's Greater Kampala Metropolitan, not just the Kampala of KCCA, the Greater Kampala Metropolitan. If you look at the time, I tried to quantify the cost of daily traffic congestion. World Bank has quantified our cost of daily congestion at 2.2 million per day. And this is USD.
Okay.
Daily loss equivalent to $2.2 million per day. This is loss in terms of productivity, loss in terms of wasted fuel, and increased emissions. So it includes the climate cost.
And the pollution and the health.
Yes, and you know Kampala is the most populated, dirtiest air we breathe in Kampala, and people are suffering from all sorts of breathing complications. So if we lose this money, this was 2017 by World Bank. There is a recent study by International Growth Center, ICC, in 2020. The daily cost of traffic congestion in Greater Kampala Metropolitan amounts to 1.5 million USD, which is equivalent to 5.7 billion Uganda shillings per day. We lose 4.2% of daily GDP in Kampala Metropolitan.
Because of traffic-related congestion.
So if you need to get office on time, you have to wake up at 5. Then you can be on office 7, 8, you're not held up. If you get on the road 7:30, you will be lucky to make it to Kampala City, the center, by 9. You will be very lucky. If you want to reach home early, then you leave office at 4 or 3:30. So those are 2 hours per day. So meaning that it also affects your sleep. Because if you must wake up at 5 How many hours are you sleeping?
And your quality of
that
life
is
generally. Yes.
Deteriorates. So we are talking of communicable diseases. We are talking everything else on the working class in Uganda. 30% could be because of the messed up city.
And we're not also looking at how this impacts children.
No, not yet. If you compare with the Dar es Salaam, I was in Dar es Salaam last year, around November. They have introduced public transport, the green buses. Yes. Kampala, of course, I need to note that most of the road reserve has been grabbed. So we have no room for expansion. That takes us to the Kampala blueprint. If it was to be implemented today, many of the buildings have to be knocked down on road reserves. So Tanzania, they reserved the road reserve by constructing roads, starting from the extreme ends, and the free land is in the middle. Nobody can
Go in the middle of the road.
grab it. It is in the middle of the road. Are you going to come and build houses in the middle of the road? Yes. So this middle of the road is what they've put as special lanes for bus transport that they are reintroducing, including the railway where it passes. Is this reserved part of the areas? So how will we develop this messed up Kampala where every green space has been grabbed? And thanks to the people who went to the bush, every road reserve grabbed. Every, of course, when you extend the economical, I know, Honorable Banyenzaki, where you see it, all the government farms grabbed, government ranches grabbed. These people, if there was an opportunity, they would grab all the oxygen we breathe and start selling it to us. I don't know what. I don't know what they can spare.
Are you protecting? Are you getting a tank? Are you hoping to get an oxygen cylinder to move around with?
So when you go to the president's letter now, I read it and I kept asking, like, what's the point? I think the president's press secretaries and speech writers, they need to be fired. How do you release such material?
Well, what if it's your boss who wants you to?
I'm coming. Of course, how do you release such material in a crisis we are in, and you think you are communicating as a president? It's a total embarrassment.
But he's writing them himself personally.
So why do we pay a presidential speech writer? Why? And it's not one, they are like 3. Why do we pay them? Because they should advise and say, Mr. President, you can't channel to this quality of communication. Completely substandard, and I'm trying to be diplomatic. Completely substandard. You look at even the teachers, why they are striking and we are ignoring them. These people we use to budget, scattering money in many things. Now we are specifying. We used to have the longest serving Minister of Transport, Honorable John Nasasira. For the longest time, he used to have the biggest portion of the budget as a single budget. True or false? Honorable, you're in Parliament.
Correct.
So, to say that we were not investing in roads, I mean, really, how can you tell such lies? But also that ministry was used as a center for spawning money. The money was not going into the roads. And that's why we are in a mess, we are in Patri. The existing narrow roads are damaged. The last time or last month when I rushed to check on my mother, you have to go see your mother and then come back and buy shock absorbers. Right from Kampala. You are struggling with the potholes. Tusheng. There are only a few sketches of normal road.
You're driving on what was left of the road.
So that also adds to the high road accidents. The road accidents. The lives we are losing in road accidents. As you struggle to dodge the pothole, if there is a longer car, these trailers coming, it rams into you.
Sir, I was a victim. I lost my 3 sisters and my brother
My God.
on the same minute because of the narrow road at Rubade. trailers has parked both sides and they rest
Yes, and
a
double
very
parking. And the double parking.
narrow space. So when my brother who was driving tried to dodge this lorry, he couldn't.
Oh dear.
Lost. So we are victims. We are all victims.
Yeah.
But I am a bigger victim in this case.
Sorry. I've
No, it's okay.
lost
Life continues.
a cousin on in this mess.
Life continues.
So when you look at almost every family has lost a road accident person. So when you look at the mess, the greater mess on the population.
When I'm going to northern Uganda, see my boss there, I spend more time praying because of that narrow road.
So
That is the road where Ayume died, you remember?
Yes.
A brain.
So
And you can imagine how many the accidents that have happened.
so we are
on that
surviving like birds
So the cost
on the
is
mercy
high.
of God. Sometimes I ask myself, what is the connection with this government? What is the public good, the common good? Security? We hire our own security. Or your property or your life may go. Roads now, we are on the mercy of God. God help me. It's like driving through elephants. Because they move in.
When you are going to start a journey, they have to pray for you.
Yes.
God, we pray that
Yes,
this person
yeah,
can reach.
yes. That's
Imagine
true.
what type of country is this.
The public good
So-
education.
Education, where is it? We buy it through.
The laws.
Hey,
Health.
I mean, nothing. There is no common good in this regime. So when you look at the size, I want to compare with Zambia again. Zambia, you know, when they borrowed this Chinese excessive lending and went into a bit of a crisis under Lungu. True, there was corruption, but there was also some value for money. They have wide roads, 4 lanes, 6 lanes. There is no traffic jam in the capital of Zambia. So the Chinese money brought roads. And President Lungu, now deceased, I know he's not yet resting. People are quarreling over burial area and presence. He told the people of Zambia that I am borrowing from China to make roads. And once we complete these roads, we will have 1 million tourists per year, minimum. The last year I was in Zambia, 2023, they had exceeded the number of tourists he promised with equal money. And they had told the country that they can repay their loans using the resources that will come from
Tourism.
the influx of tourism. Look what the natural tourists we have in this country. If we created the internal flights like Dar es Salaam, created roads like Zambia, we can even have 3 million tourists. But you have people telling us nonsense. We are steady progress, steady what? You try your hands to touch up what they are
Even
calling
our
steady.
tourists are dying
If
of
you find it,
accidents because of narrow roads.
Yes,
You are aware?
of course. If you, any Ugandan, can press their hands on what NRM calls steady, it will burst like a balloon.
Joseph, over to you. 40 years down the road, and we still hear the same irregularities, the same ills bedeviling our, not just our road sector, but the infrastructure sector in general terms. What are we missing as a country?
What went wrong?
You know, I have to associate myself with Henry, losing multiple family members on the road. I have had many near misses in the recent past for close families. But you know, except Henry, you know that I lost the mother of my daughter
Yeah, the road accident.
Road
in
accident.
the road
Yeah.
accident on that road.
Yeah.
And you know, and then, you know, and of course, 4 members of the same family passed at the same time. But I have, in the recent past, whenever I go particularly to West Nile,
You're on your knees.
yes, but I actually particularly now deliberately avoid that road. Now I take the potholed Hoima Road
To slow you down.
to slow me down, perhaps less traffic, but just to make that point. And then every other time I'm there until I reach Matuga, then you know that sort of, yes, you know, life is back. Because the imperative sometimes when you go into Gulu, Kitgum, Mundir going to Lir. But I thought I had to...
You pass Matuga.
When you reach Matuga.
Yeah.
When he reaches Matuga.
So when you go to go
that
via
side.
Masindi, you'll have to come from Nakasongo. Comrade Rich, we don't create the geography of Uganda.
You can.
But I'm simply saying that now you have to go via Hoima Road.
You take more detours
Hoima
now than...
and then go to Bulisa
To avoid the
to use the oil
probability
road,
of
yes,
accidents.
to avoid this particular area. And twice, 3 times I've actually done them in the last few months, primarily because of that. But you know, this is a crisis, and I know we sort of time bad. The Kampala plan was actually the UPC plan.
The
you know.
blueprint.
It was the Greater Kampala plan was actually the 60s plan. The Greater Kampala plan had actually included the Kampala orbital, for which the northern bypass was part built and crookedly done, but it was supposed to be the Kampala orbital. But it was also supposed to include Kampala Entebbe conurbation as nation and cities plan extent, including for Jinja. So these blueprints and plans, these things ever existed here as we're talking about the Rhodas. What happened? There has been an absence of leadership and an extraordinary abandoning of the Republic of Uganda for individual self-gains. And sometimes when we discuss infrastructure in Uganda, I always say that, Henry, we actually don't need graduates. If average people went to Mwiri and studied O-level geography in Mwiri, and and you did map reading and urban centering, things like that. Sometimes what you did, you don't need degrees. The first UPC government takes the railway line from Soroti, takes it to Lira, takes it to Gulu, takes it to Pakwach, including Pakwach Bridge. The other day I was in Pakwach, and then you see Pakwach Bridge and say what's going on. And then you see the dead rail network, and you see what sort of is going on. Tororo airstrip is now a ghost place. The other day I was passing there with my daughter. She was asking what that one was. Has no clue, and this is my daughter.
Land is not yet grabbed.
Half part of it has been grabbed at the basically cattle grazing place. Ideally, as you said, I should travel by plane to Tororo, domestic flights, and should be okay. But likewise, I should travel to Nagongera by second class, business class train, which I used once on my way to Jinja because of a close family of neighbors. And you have time to, in fact, one car for the business class, meaning second class, 4 of you guys in a car with the buffet car, the other end. Absolutely comfortable in my lifetime. Kampala, like I said, and part of the extension. I have my friend Mwes made Kwesiga, made in South Africa, the UPC fast guild president. He was talking the other day about the plan. Apparently, there existed a plan for the extension of the railways, the Snake railways up to Kabale Hills to Kisoro. The same things actually did exist, and they're there. Why would we be driving? The environmental pollution. In fact, as I was coming, when I reached Nigeria Hospital, and I remember my friend actually, she's from Kabale, who had an accident. Someone, she was not particularly well treated by police, and her sisters were not there, so I had to rush. One time, actually, I think it was coming from here, picked up to take her to Nigeria Hospital. Now, that Nigeria Hospital stretch, this is a woman with many broken bones, and you're going the chuku thing that I said. So today, because we're coming to discuss this thing, and I said, what is going on? So I know, because of time, I don't know how much I can say.
If you could just wind up in about 3 minutes, so we take a break and you come back.
Maybe just go very brief, because I think this thing has got its fair justice.
He'll come back after.
So rail networks, the train services beyond passenger services, the goods trains, away actually even from the waterways. Quite clearly, most of the trailers that are rocking up people, in particular Kampala to the kind of thing that spoil these ones. The goods trains, again, that I saw, one long train, one long mini snake, takes off 100 trailers off the road. A truck goes 150 trailers. Now, these are common sense. But I've been told, sir, I think I ever had this conversation with you. I was told apparently that in the early 90s, some NRA guys deliberately decided to undermine or to kill the train services because they wanted to do businesses in trailers. I have had those rumors. Now, we had public service buses. Where did they go? You can go on and on and on and on. Cut this thing short. Is politics, lack of leadership.
Comrade,
Yes, sir.
the whole railway network was uprooted. Don't know that?
No, of course I do.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usoga Lane is
Yeah,
now
yeah,
just
yeah.
a road.
It was uprooted.
So this is a big.
It's criminal.
It's a big.
And
Yeah.
those railway staff
The slippers.
was being recycled
At Jinja in Ugu.
well with the full knowledge.
Of the state.
Of
The
the powers
fact
that be, you're calling that way.
Honorable, the fact the business belonged to your boss, the one you go to see in Ukulu.
I don't know.
As if 1 minute, the crew is telling me we need to wind up and take a break.
Sarah, this time maybe I'll come back later. Sarah, the Zambian stuff. When Chinese money came, on my way to return with my other good brother Jimmy in 2005,
Yes.
Mwanawasa was president. Those things actually started with Mwanawasa. He was criticized, and then Lungu came and expanded. And I saw the things, it was extraordinary. But the shocking thing, Judith, was I left Zambia, and remember that time now I'd been away from Uganda, and I landed in Kampala, and I came to this dust city of Africa. And then I remember being hosted by Andrew Mwenda at his other program the other time. Let me not give
Andrew
him.
Mwenda Live.
Yes, Andrew Mwenda Live. And I raised this thing, including what I'd experienced in Zambia. And then Andrew said, "No, Joseph, you don't appreciate that." I said, "But look, there's even a railway network below your station here." And I think Andrew's own reaction was, I don't think he had seen this one coming. And then on my way out, a journalist friend of you journalists are fantastic. A lady journalist friend called me. I met her at the Commonwealth Journalist somewhere elsewhere. And she said, "Joseph, make sure that Ugandans don't think you're being snobbish. You're talking about this thing because they think about the British thing." Then I told her that, look,
Zambia.
these are things. No,
Yeah.
no, I saw this in Zambia. But what I'm talking about Kampala is what I left. I saw them. I grew up in them.
It was better before you left.
So better before I left. And so what I'm talking about is not a lie. Interestingly, though, from around that time, it is true that 3, 4, 5 years later, in the more recent times, these guys started investing slightly more on not infrastructure, but on roads. But I think both Henry and Sarah are right that amidst that with Nasasera as the permanent Minister of Transport, there was some deal there that, well, let's do it, get 80%, and then we should put a bit of simple. There is something criminal happening in this country.
Thank you, Joseph. Let's take a break and then we return and continue with this discussion on the general state of our roads, of course, as we use the President's recent letter as a backdrop to this conversation after the break.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create and publish digital media or to access and use computers, other electronic devices and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Welcome back from the break, and we're glad that you're still with us here on the Citizens Chat Show on Civic Space, streaming on YouTube. The conversation continues. Well, Sarah Bireete is not with us in this session. She has something rather urgent to attend to, but nonetheless, the conversation has picked up And we are waiting to hear from our retired major. We're still continuing with our discussion on the general state of roads in Uganda and also having a comparative outlook of what's happening, what it is like across the region. And this conversation, of course, is coming in at the backdrop of the recent letter by the president in which he was actually being vocal about prioritizing investments in our road sector, but also decrying some of the ills, the pervasive ills that have actually bedeviled this sector. And you've heard from the panelists in the first session what they've been saying about the state of our roads, the ills that are characterizing, that have actually characterized the state of affairs in this country, reflected in the state of our road sector. Major, which I think I want to now give you the microphone and you can actually give us your thoughts, but also respond to some of the issues that were raised earlier by your colleagues, right from Dr. Ojiambo, Honorable Banyenzaki, Sarah, and now Joseph. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I've had the opportunity to listen to my colleagues' submission, but it looks to me like the topic veered off from the state of the road to how bleak is the future of Uganda, or how terrible is NRM management. So how I wish we had remained on the track of criticisms or appreciation where need be for the state of road, I would be okay with it. So I have always said that sometimes questions are set and we behave like our former students I used to see who would not be prepared or spot a wrong question. He had spotted the causes of transatlantic trade, and in the exams they bring the causes of trans-Sahara. So in the exams, he goes ahead and says, if you had brought transatlantic, the causes are lack of manpower in the sugarcane in Brazil, what? And he goes ahead to answer. So I feel like instead of the road, we veered off to how bad NRM is. But I would like to stick on the roads, and which the point of departure is the president's letter. First of all, I like to say the president's letter was in good faith and it was correct and factual. Possibly, the methods of work that even the president alluded to in NRA was that we would present facts as they are. In fact, if you looked at the regional political commissions of NRA, if they were meeting, you'd even think it was a group of enemies. Why? Because open criticisms and factual presentation was encouraged. And therefore, I think it is not so common to the views of other readers when the president in this letter points out weaknesses. Possibly to the readers, they thought he would come out with praises. But these are the method of communication and factual way of looking at things that I personally had the chance to grow up in. We used to do it in the army through what we call baraza, where a battalion would meet and really say out whatever wrong the commanders are doing. But thanks God, it would end up in a consensus in a way forward, in what we used to call democratic centralism. It is democracy, but centered. And it helps us to move forward and see where we are. So, the communication of the president by pointing, because some people are saying, it's your mistake, or because NRM has been around for long, so which other mistake is there? But it doesn't hurt to openly point out the wrong that we have and see a way to address it. So I like to see the president's communication in that perspective. Two is that the situation is not as bleak as it is, especially when you veer off into other areas which are not road, like you talk of health, you talk of education, you talk of all this, and that is why I'm saying the topic changed from roads to how bleak the future of Uganda is, or how things have terribly failed, which is far from it. And it is far from it in that at the end of the day, whether you have an intelligentsia lenses from the university lecture rooms or from our own political outlook, but eventually the ordinary rights holder, the Ugandan, are often given chance to see how they fail and how they go about it. Because Article 1 of the Constitution says power belongs to the people. So however bleak we look at it from the intelligentsia, from the intellectual point of the view, from the elite point of view, the majority Ugandans, and by even coupled with average indicators which are collected by independent bodies, there is no bleak future for Uganda. Things are getting better by the day. So for those who advocated for bleakness, it's not a time to go for it, but that is what it is. And I kept saying here,
But you can't get away with that.
You look at the life expectancy, and even you have seen the happiness index. We are the happiest in East Africa. And the life expectancy, we have moved from 43 to 64.
But you remember also we are the highest, we are #1 alcohol consumption country in this country, which explains that happiness.
It's a study. The study is done by an independent body. Yeah. Alcohol is not the only ingredient. So many other aspects are taken.
And that alcohol is because of mismanagement.
That's correct.
Like alcohol which was being distributed during
the
elections.
Is right, and the ultimate rights holder, the ordinary average Ugandan, will continuously decide. And for us, in NRM, we need to do better, and we strive to do better, so that each periodic time that we go to the people will keep saying, go forward, or go ahead with what you are doing. But we would welcome criticisms, point of views from the intelligentsia, from the academics, from the political class, and from everybody else. Now, about the state of road, the Tanzanian one, or any other country for that case, the Tanzanian case setting is a demand and dictated by the country. The country is big in size, and therefore, it's a demand driven that they have the nature of what they have now. It's easier to move from Gulu to Kampala than move from Dar es Salaam to any other part. I lived in Geneva for 8 years, and the colleagues who were from Tanzania, who come from the north, kept telling me that for them, instead of landing in Dar es Salaam, they rather land in Entebbe and go to Tanzania, because the country is so huge. So the demand and the prompt for air transport is higher in its natural sense of demand than Uganda. That is not to say that even a small country like ours, we wouldn't do it, okay? It is in relative term. So the consciousness, the urge, the demand is state of the country demanded. And that is why they have, for example, serious road network. From Dar es Salaam to the border in Masaka, here in Tanzania, Kagera, around this border of Rakai, where Tanzania stops, you possibly would have gone from here to Gulu and back and back and back 4 times. So definitely you have to.
But Major, sorry, just a question. Your colleagues here talked about how widespread airstrips were back then, in the day. Yeah. So are you saying the demand, and at that time the population was actually much lower than it is right now. So are you saying the demand existed at a time when the population of Uganda was much lower than, and now the demand is not there when we actually have a bigger population that travels even more than at those days, I would assume.
I'm not discounting that, but I'm stating the Tanzanian fact. I'm stating the Tanzanian fact as it is. One of the determinants, one of the dictates, okay? I said I'm not discounting the Ugandan, but I wanted to bear in the viewers.
You just say Tanzania has a better planning structure than us, period.
On the roads in Uganda, We have constantly joked, especially on Barra Road, that those who died in road accidents on Umbara, say Masaka Kampala Road, or even Umbara, Masaka Umbara Road, we have often joked that if those who died came back, they would curse us and say, you people, you waited for us to go, and now you have widened the road. The road on the Masaka, Umbara, Kampala has been doubled. Not the Congress Road. The road that was, people used to drag on that small thing, and there was a lot of accidents.
Awich.
Yes.
Awich.
But now we
Get
say,
away from that
just a minute.
argument.
No way.
Honorable, let him first finish and
no
then you'll
way.
come in.
I use the road every day, Umbara, Kampala. So we have often joked that the colleagues who passed away using on the road accident, if they came now, we can even go on record, Honorable, to see which project expanded road from where to where. It is on record that from this way, this project did in such and such a year. From this did and such a year. Roads have been expanded. That on Masaka, that is not the road that it was. Even by when were we in S5? By 95, it wasn't. It wasn't. Therefore, roads have been done. Still on the road.
Do you have a double lane in Masaka Road? Distance?
Yes.
Where?
All along. All along. On the roads, it is on record that right now you can access any border of Uganda to another border on tarmac. I demonstrate this. If you left from Kidgum side, Kidgum, which is the remotest part of the country, you can leave Sudan by tarmac to Kidgum town, from Kidgum town to Gulu, from Gulu you can come to Karuma, to Kigoma, from Kigoma to Masindi, Masindi to Oima, Oima to Fort Fortal, to Kasese to Mbara, to Rwanda on tarmac. Same thing, you can leave Kasese to Busia on tarmac. You can eat any...
Honorable, I don't think that's in dispute. What's the state and condition of the tarmac in some of these areas? I understand from the northern side, the roads are actually really good. They're in very good condition. That is, but we heard just Sarah herself saying recently from a short distance between Barara and Bushenyi, a distance that should take about 30 minutes. I was last there in 2015.
Roads have lifespan, and often the lifespan die and they need to be maintained.
So that
now, for example, for some time we had a problem between Lira and Konakamdini. It was an issue. The lifespan had gone, but it has been put right. It has been put right. It's now perfect, and there's no more noise. So the same thing, the Bushenyi Umbara Road, I've been there recently. I was in the last time I was there was in Shema South Constituency Conference. There are potholes, but that is natural in road maintenance, and it will be dealt with. And in spotted, isolated places, they're all over. We just like Lira Konakamdini was so bad. It was done. It is good now. Bushenyi will be dealt. So these are normal routine management of roads.
We agreed to give him all the 40 minutes, but we interject. Can we interject?
Do you allow?
Oh, thank you very much. I'm very glad.
Have you allowed? None of us. Have you allowed or not? Not yet.
Okay, 1 minute. Yeah.
I'm very glad he's talking about lifespan. You see that lifespan of roads. For example, we borrow money to make, like, say,
60 kilometers.
We borrow money to reconstruct the road from Kampala to Masaka. When we borrow that money from World Bank or multi-financial lenders, it gives us 20 years to repay that money. But within 5 years of the 20 times, the road has collapsed. So we have to borrow another money again. So we borrow 4 times to do same road. And in borrowing this, and in borrowing this 4 times, the quality of road is poor. Reason we are borrowing 4 times to do the same road, and that is the debt burden that we are having. So my brother Awich needs to discuss that issue vis-a-vis the quality of the roads we are taking, the cost of the roads we are taking, and we need to answer who is responsible for that.
Thank you.
The issues that you are raising partly is what the issues in our revolutionary objectivity the president raised and you didn't want him to raise. Those are the criticisms that we constantly have, even internally. And that's what the president is raising in his letters. In our revolutionary method of work, of constructively criticizing, even among ourselves, that you people didn't want. That is taken note of. And we keep criticizing it, including in our manifesto, which I will talk about shortly. So we have covered border to border, and it is there. Again, it is on record that we have made clear bridges on our main river Nile. 3 good bridges. Remember, since independence, we had the traditional bridge in Jinja, in Karuma, and in Pakwach. But within this time, we have added a bridge in Jinja, in Kayunga, in a river Nile, in a Para, and we are about to add one going to your former president's place in Maruzi. Okay?
Our president.
Yes. So, clear bridges of international standards are set there. So with roads, we are really doing well. Now, from the manifesto point of view, we are quite cognizant of infrastructure. And as you know, a manifesto is our social contract with the people. It is what we promise the people. Should the people vote us in, that binds us with the people, and we do it, and we keep monitoring. And road is a big thing. We also do know that in GDP form, the GDP for Kenya, for example, and probably why they make longer roads than us, is that they have the GDP higher than us. But in proportional sense, the GDP per road, I do not see Uganda very far compared. Somebody should have come up with a GDP per the distance of road. You will realize that even Kenya with a much bigger GDP will be behind us in the road term.
What about Rwanda, which has a small economy?
We are doing very well. Now, so from the manifesto point of view, what we covered the other time, we are yet to cover much more in this time. We are in the process of developing a new manifesto, and we shall address it. Now, again, Honorable talked about the cabinet and how the hinting was like, when you're a cabinet member and you present a critical position, the chair sells it away or pushes it off. Well, I think those are the chairpersons who need to be schooled in the NRM methods of work. I do not see a true NRM cadre would shy away from objective criticisms, especially brought by a cabinet member, because this is an in-house thing. This is an in-house thing.
To be specific, cannot be misunderstood actually. I think that cabinet was chaired by Moses Ari, General Moses Ari.
So you can see, and of course, you know, even in the military was a little bit neat. In the NRM historical context, the forces that join NRM, you join with your rank. There was no demotion, but on conditions that even if you were whatever rank, you had to properly be schooled in the political education. And others went up to Kiburara reorganization, others went up to where, but continuously you needed. So there are some people who maybe by some accident or status who never went through. But I can assure you, I don't think a man like Otafire would throw such a document. He would have it discussed. So if there's such isolated incidents,
that's correct.
If there's such isolated, Otafire would have that matter discussed. So it depends on the cadreship and the level of joining, and of course that has kept making us have more Lubengo, including all branches, even the legislature. So, is the situation, particularly roads, that bleak? No. The situation of roads is good. But issues that we have kept on insisting, even within the party structures or party forum, issues like resource leakage, whether it is in road or health, we kept saying it. Some of us have even questioned and said, look, this son of Kaguta, you brought sanity into the military. At least we know that compared to the past, the army is domesticated. The past army was not domesticated. Congressman, the past army was not
domesticated in the sense the family. The other one was a national army. This one is family. Yeah, domesticated. Yes.
Can make the wild army domesticated. What is it that we can't control? What is it that we can't control? Resource leakage, which you can call corruption. So these are issues which cut across, and we share the concerns, and we shall keep urging for it.
Okay.
And I'm sure it will come again in our manifesto. But for roads, we shall do better and better and better.
Okay. Joseph, before you come in, I also have a question for Major. You talked about the issue of maintenance, and I think that is one of the biggest problems we also have in our road sector. And you said when the potholes are now there, have emerged, is when, you know, maintenance is done. But someone would assume that maintenance should actually, we shouldn't wait until the problem is so big, until we have Crater Lake-like potholes in the middle of our roads. Because ideally, you would think planning and maintenance is that as soon as you identify a problem, it has to be arrested before it becomes such a huge and costly undertaking for us.
Judith, let me just give you some information. We used to have some people on our road system called the PIDA, but the issue was that the word was PWD, Public Works Department. And the Public Works Department, their job was to maintain roads, to slash around the roads. If a pothole has started developing, they will cover it. And if there is a section that needs trimming, for example, trimming the trees, they will do the PIDA work and so on. What happened to that department?
Just let me supplement your concern. Major Awich, when I was in Parliament, I led a debate where we scrapped the road license. And we said the percentage, I don't remember now, the specific percentage. You know, every time you go on a petrol station, part of a percentage of that money goes to road fund. And that percentage of money that goes that we pay for the maintenance of the road. We road users, as we buy fuel. And that reserve of fund has grown money. It is so huge. So I want Major Awich, who is saying that the problem is about the maintenance. We are not maintaining.
Very important point.
I want him to answer, where is that money? Where is the road fund going? Why are we not seeing that road fund maintaining these roads? Simple and specific, and be on the point on that matter.
Now, Judith's point was that I talk of maintenance and yet there appears to be a hole over a long period of time. Maybe needed to be a little clearer that the maintenance I meant was also read together with the lifespan of a road. Because if you read together, there are two things that you can do. You can read in passing that it may even involve an overhaul of a whole road. That is when you read in connection with the lifespan. But you also have, there's supposed to be a standing department and with areas of jurisdiction. For example, somebody is supposed to be in the Ministry of Works sleeping and thinking about Gulu Kampala Road. Somebody should be in the Ministry of Works sleeping and thinking about. Then there's somebody who is supposed to be sleeping thinking of feeder roads. Now, that somebody who sleeps thinking about Kampala Gulu Road is now, with modern changes, the equivalent of PIDA. Now, that is supposed to be a recurring exercise on a daily basis. And what we have discovered and we have continued to voice is that do simple costing has led to what we have called as our continuous cry of resource leakage. Sealing and maintaining those roads have continued to be expensive. Some people look at just the construction like Entebbe one. So it has been our cry again that who is this in the Ministry of Works? Who's instead of, there's a title they give those who oversee that road. There's a department. And that has been lacking and wanting. Otherwise, if we have been having it constantly from the two perspectives, whether you are going to overhaul a road because the life expectancy has gone, or this department that oversees the constant maintenance would be away from this. But it's our insistence, and we have continuously, as we draft our manifesto, insisted on the line ministry to take note. So that has been a weakness, and that has continued to manifest itself. Now, about the funds, the road funds were used, were initiated, including the ones which measure goods, the one which measures good, including the Lokaya, remember Lokaya Road toll, way bridges were that. Now, all this at the end of the day, of course, according to your finance person, it would still get itself in the consolidated fund, but with a policy position of maintenance. And that still has kept a challenge. Okay? It has still kept a challenge, and we keep reiterating it in all our circles and even in the manifesto. So we are yet to see the impactful initiative from those. Now, one thing that I forgot, the impression, especially for us among the intelligentsia, which is also partly because we noticed that we had a retreat in Chankwanzi for cabinet retreat, and being a director and within the SEC circle, we were invited as SEC members for the retreat, which was for a week. And we put the Prime Minister to task about roads in Kampala. The Prime Minister told us that the roads in Kampala, all the roads have been contracted. And there was again a gap and a looseness in supervision, just mere supervision. Whether a road, because as I told you, in our revolutionary methods of work, we put ourselves in Chankwanzi and said, what is wrong with this road? And that has been our methods of work. And if you went to Chankwanzi, you'd think it was a group of rebels meeting. But that is what has kept us moving. Okay. So we criticize it.
Allow Major to finish his submission.
And the Prime Minister explained to us that colleagues, as government, especially party, as a party entrusted us with this responsibility in government, we have tried. All the roads in Kampala, we have signed contracts. He mentioned it, whether it's Apollo Kagwa Road or the Port Bell Road to Luzira, both from Meat Packer and University in Nakawa Business School, to whichever road, this one going to, we have done it. Therefore, the Kampala roads are all on contracts. And we still, as a party, insist on the monitoring point of view.
Just one question.
One question and then Joseph. Yes.
So, Major Which, we have monitoring bodies, and I plead guilty, I was part of it, and I'm still part of it. Like there's a roads monitoring unit in State House. Are you saying that that road monitoring unit in State House has failed? Are you saying that the Minister for Monitoring in the Office of the Prime Minister is not monitoring? Are you saying the Minister in the President's Office for Monitoring is not doing his job? Are you saying that that is where the problem is?
Okay. Joseph.
It may be. Why are you still keeping those people who are paid to do their job?
Okay.
Indeed.
But Joseph also asked.
Indeed.
Yes.
And if they have, those ministers have their supervisors and have their appointing authorities, and the appointing authority is Mr. Museveni. This thing is up there. The author of this patronizing letter that we are discussing today. Extremely patronizing letter from Comrade Museveni. And typical smart Mr. Museveni. It's everybody else's fault, including you, Bazukulu. You don't know where we came from the bush, but himself. Absolute net responsibility. Quickly. Comrade Awich, in 1989, I took a road journey from Nairobi with the intention of catching a train from Moshi to Dar es Salaam. 89 was 2 years after your Endery little boys roughed me up at Makera and escaped. So I'd come from London and I was traveling to Tanzania by road. So I missed my train at Moshi. I took a rough bus journey to Dar es Salaam. And then my rather nice suit at the time, by the time I reached Dar es Salaam and I was put in a terrible back seat, it was actually like, it was brown. It was atrocious. So the road was bad, bumpy. It's a journey I'll never forget.
I'm told we have about 9 minutes.
Yes, but the point is this. Something happened in Tanzania deliberately and things changed. It's a question of leadership.
Good governance.
So the idea of size doesn't apply. Number two, my father, after leaving teaching, was actually a roads supervisor. Actually, for him, he answered to the local government in Tororo. So he was actually a supervisor of these roads you talked about, the Peter roads. And by the way, I've told again this program and others. So that's why I know about these roads in terms of local roads and these other big roads very much. The roads which the first class, which are non-tarmac roads, you'd ride on those roads, and I've been asking, what happened to those marams and what happened to these people that we could travel on these roads from one end of town to the other and ride bicycles and there's no problem when compared to them. Finally, I met Kagina Allen at Yundra shortly before she left. Fantastic lady. And it was quite surprising, maybe partly monitoring thing, over Nagongera Road, which is a road in a shambolic state, Now, it was meeting her with her engineers that she came to know that there's a bridge within Toro, near Toro Barracks, which has never been completed. Kumbe, apparently, something had been stopped with corruption and money. So there is something fundamentally wrong that I think unless Mr. Museveni retires, and you, Henry, and then Comrade Awich's take over, that is, if you don't allow us, the others, to bring alternative agenda, I don't think we're going to go anywhere. And then finally, the whole of
we need to give him time to respond.
The whole of Tororo, as a district, has got not a single new tarmac road. Now, there is a
Joseph, you need to wind up and give him time,
come
because I know he is also quiet here. I know he's going to come up with something.
You think I will talk so much?
You have said 5 finally.
Just finish up.
Just
wind up that train of thought, and then we allow him to respond.
Tororo has got no new tarmac road. Now, the old Busia Road, this man is talking about the border. The old Busia Road, which is via Usukuru, the Usukuru thing.
It's 24 kilometers.
24. It's just about being sort of part completed. So the idea that from border to border, and that's the traditional road, is actually not true. But anyway, because Comrade Wish instructed me to do final. No, for us in Mwiri, our motto is for God and my country. We did fantastic job for this country. The entire school motto has come. It is now a terrific thing.
On that note, Joseph, let's allow Major.
Yeah, for the case of the congressman,
yes,
he's saying whether me and Andrew leave them, the power is with the people. So we shall keep doing well, and the people will choose. And if the people choose us, so you'll have to wait. Now, on your question of the monitoring challenges, we told the Prime Minister that if your issue is that there's poor monitoring, what have you done? For example, in our explanations, we were saying there are even incidences where some constructors would bring big equipment and put it like around meat packer. And then when you pass there, you think the road will be finished today. For some reason, they pull it away to play on people's side. You find today huge 3, 4, 5, 10 equipment, and you think Sao Paulo Kagwa will be finished. So, like we are having a challenge of resource leakage, we put her on spot. We hope that since then, that is why Sao Paulo is concluded, and we shall still check on her at an appropriate time. We have multiple monitoring and supervision institutions, but all of them crystallizes to the Prime Minister, the head of government business. And that is why she had to reply. But to viewers, the state of road compared to GDP is good, and we shall do it. The last one is now from the road, Gulu Road through River Nile to Kitgum. Apache, Lira, Kit, huge double line, huge.
So thank you. That you want to say something, but I wanted to hear from your perspectives the problem of the issue of leakage, because it seems to be another huge problem that this government has had to deal with for a very long time. But I'd also like to hear your perspectives, looking at past governments. And this is not to say, I don't want to assume that there was no corruption or no leakages at that time, but in comparative terms, how is it, or how was it, and what was actually done back then, whether it was Amin's time or Robote's time and so on and so forth, that things could move. I mean, just if you could just walk me back a little bit. Robert, would you want to say something?
I want to start. I'm not going.
But we have very few minutes though, so we need to just run over
the arguments which have been here, because sometimes some of the things look like Coach T messages that the road network is very good. If children are hearing you and they are traveling from Kamocha and now crossing to Port Bell, which has been under construction for 2 years, and they are hearing us saying this here, they say these men in courts, I think, have problems. The biggest problem in all this, and that's why I want to support the people who are sort of wholesomely looking at the condition of service delivery. You cannot discuss these things in isolation, because there is no sector that is doing well. Because even the UPDF, which used to be fantastic, UPDF is now the cry of the people. When you go to elections, people are complaining about UPDF. When you go everywhere, because UPDF now is even arresting people. They are not supposed to arrest people. They are supposed to go and fight our enemies. Governance is the biggest problem. And I've been following Tanzania, and I wish viewers would study carefully states. In Tanzania, you rarely become a president if you have not been benchmarked in some ministry. If they discover that they have problems with their foreign affairs, you will find a person being prepared to become a president, being prepared from foreign affairs background. Kikwete was one of them. When they discover that somebody the problem is infrastructure, they will benchmark somebody. And sometimes when we see them, we think it is a mistake or a miracle. Magufuli first became a state minister for transport. And all the revolution on road network started during Magufuli. In fact, that's why he's called Tinga Tinga, Bomoa Bomoa. He was breaking roads, and he started by breaking the house of his father in Chato. And that's why they earmarked him. And when CCM came, when Kikwete was going, they supported him because they knew he would complete that project. Somebody needs to go to Dar es Salaam. Somebody needs to go to Dodoma. Somebody needs to see the 4 years. Because this man, even just the 4 years that he was president, when you look at the roads in Dar es Salaam, they moved from 2-lane to 4-lane. Now, Samia is changing them to 6-lane. They are progressing. Why did he do that? He fought 3 things. Number 1, he made sure that they monitored and followed donor funding. The first thing he did was to suspend Chinese contracts in Tanzania, because he discovered that the Chinese are very corrupt. This is written, there is information, and there is record. So 2, he concentrated on monitoring. He had a monitoring thing. And you used to see Magufuli on a bridge. He constructed the longest bridge in Africa. It's now in Tanzania. That bridge which is constructed on that place which connects the road coming to Bukoba, where they were using a ferry. Now it is one of the longest bridges that you can find here, and so many other things. So monitoring, I agree with the Honorable here. The thing that lacks in Uganda is the one who is supposed to monitor needs to be monitored. That is the problem. It's like I normally tell you that nanyini waka bwatandika okubbenva, then there is a problem. When the owner of the family starts to steal greens, the head is the one to be monitored. So you cannot monitor the monitor. The problems, all the problems, you follow all the reports that have been written on corruption in Uganda, the Justice Ogola report, the Pollar report, all the reports, as they go towards the conclusion, they end up with the State House. And they say, once it has reached State House, where then do you go?
Thank you, Honorable.
Well, I think there is there's one achievement that this country we have done, and specifically under the government, under the leadership of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, increasing the tax revenue. It has hugely expanded. But the biggest problem that we're having again with this tax revenue increasing, those who are in charge, we used to have the saying that tighten the belt, they have widened the belt.
Oh, they don't have a belt.
And that's why we are talking about the leakage. There is a question we are not answering about the 20% of the leakage of the national budget. Where is it going? We have a budget of 40 or 50 trillion to date. 20% of that 50 trillion, that's about 10 trillion, is going to be stolen and it is going to vanquish. Where is it going? So we are living in a state of self-denial. And my brother, Awich, well, you are not yet there, and I don't wish you to be there, to defend the undefendable. When we come here to defend undefendable, and we are in the space of the civic space, we are doing ourselves, it is not really, we are doing ourselves, I don't know, to the citizens, we are not being honest to them. And these evils which has devoured this country, specifically this corruption, it is everywhere, glaring, in the IGG's report, in the Auditor General's report, in all the reports. So we need to confess. And when the president here comes and brings these letters, and indeed it is goodwill and it is honest, the president is telling us where the problem is. The problem with the president and the citizens is not the president fixing these problems that he's identified. He has identified the problem. So who is to resolve it? He's the chief executive of this government. He's the one fixing it. So it all goes back to him. But for this to leave it hanging, and we come to listen to Awich and start sacrificing him, my comrade Awich, let these things pass. When we pinpoint them, you don't need to defend them. These are the evils that have bedeviled our nation. And it is so unfortunate that we, the citizens, we have been disempowered even to hold these people to account. And again, it is so unfortunate that the citizens of this country, especially the big population of the youth, the Bazukuru, have now also been brainwashed, hoodwinked, not to ask for the accountability for their future. Their future is being stolen away. Our future has been stolen away. And bigger future of the youth is being stolen away. And Major Awich, when we talk about these things that are happening, you'll be here defending these things. It will happen to you.
Thank you,
You
Honorable.
will see it happening. The other day I saw an ambassador, a full ambassador, former ambassador, dying on the road, on a border. These things will happen. When I say these
My
things,
student.
for me, I've overgrown it now. I lost four
him, it's my student.
four family members on Uruba. I know that spot. So these things, they have affected us. I've overgrown it. I didn't know that it has affected you. Almost every family has been affected by this. So these matters are very serious, not until when they happen to us that we come to know. So we need to be honest. We need to tell the citizens something has gone wrong. And the citizens that Major Awich is telling us that they are giving us, entrusting us with the salt again, are the citizens again that have been hoodwinked. Yeah? It has been hoodwinked. The other day I was talking about these voters who are being given alcohol, waraji, to vote the voters. So we have commercial. Major Awich is not talking about this commercialization of politics. It is the highest bidder that gets it.
Thank you,
We are
Honorable.
no longer getting leaders meritocracy. We are not having technical people meritocracy, and we shouldn't even blame them.
Thank you. Just leakage.
Yes, it's quite clearly leakage, because I saw in 1984, after a long time of Idi Amin's regime, a major reconstruction, refurbishment of Kampala Masakambara Kabale. The only that piece that had not been completed yet was Kabale to Katuna, and I saw it with my own eyes as a young student. And we had come from the context of that background, and they were able to do these roads. And the size of that community which is talking about, I travel those ends, I don't know that. That's why I say I don't think it's about defending, but about putting these things in context. And number two, if you travel from Namasale to those via Ochieno to Dokolo, and then you hear the conversation we're having, let alone Nagongera and Busoro and some of these other places, it's like we're coming here for an afternoon show. It's not, it's that bad. It's quite clearly the case that this country has a big problem of leadership and a big problem of corruption. Nasasera was mentioned here briefly. Everybody knew that Nasasera was Minister for Transport, and that is where money was. If we do a clear audit, where did it go? But Nasasera, these are the big untouchable guys down in town that sometimes we don't want to talk about. We know this thing starts from State House, ends in State House. Mr. Museveni's son busted in the streets of Kampala. Was it 18 months ago that we are now going to have car-down streets of Kampala? What has happened? We know what these things are. I think as Henry's saying, and it's quite difficult coming from someone like Henry, who's actually at the center of many of these things. He's actually crying that you guys, the reality is that these things can be done. It is corruption, but it's deliberate corruption, it's organized corruption, but somehow the citizenry ought to wake up and simply say, no. We just need to retire Mr. Museveni after 40 years. Magufuli did it in 4 years. If Museveni couldn't do it for 40 years, in 40 years, he will never do it. We just need to have a new set of ideas, fresh. The blueprints are there. We founded them. This group can rebuild a new foundation to take us to the future. I think this country genuinely deserves better as far as infrastructure is concerned.
And I'm also taking these submissions as you concluding remarks.
Fair enough.
And so you're the last Major.
You still had a question which I insist that some of us come here and don't even listen to your question. Your question was compared even to the past government. Why is there? What could have precipitated that actual corruption now?
No, I was saying I just needed comparative,
So,
a comparison of
I don't see
how
that
the situation now and what it
but
was back then
I
and
will
what was
answer
done
that.
differently in the
I
past.
will
That's a
answer
very
that.
good question.
It's
Why are we bigger thieves now than?
But it passed you didn't answer.
just no. It is okay.
Different people answer
Let's-
questions
let's-
differently.
I will
Gentlemen,
answer that,
allow him to
but,
speak.
Now, what I want to comment from my colleagues, first of all, Professor insists that we should discuss everything. If we are to discuss everything, then let us be aware we are going to discuss everything and the topic be framed as such. Because if I do my research and prepare my mind about the state of roads, and you come here and say, no, we must discuss heaven and earth, then how? Let's frame a topic we are coming to discuss heaven and earth. So I still insist it is wrong.
No.
Sometimes the Major normally wants
Doctor,
to blame me for nothing.
I don't want us to have another debate.
But it's not bad.
We've run out of time already.
Defending
We
the
are discussing
undefendable.
underlying
Defending the
factors.
undefendable. That's
Let's
all I will
allow
say.
Major submit.
all of my colleagues here know that I'm the most liberal-minded. I'm surprised Honorable insists I'm defending the undefendable. First of all, I started by admitting that the president's letter was itself not defending. It was criticizing, being open. I also considered here about 3 things. I said there's leakage, which is corruption. I also considered here that there's poor monitoring. Yes. I considered everything. If saying that there's a road from border to border, if saying bridges are built is defending the undefendable, then I will continue defending it. What else is better than me openly conceding the challenges that we have, which I mentioned, corruption, poor monitoring, everything. Honorable is insisting on defending the undefendable. What have I defended that is not defendable? To say that roads are from border to border, bridges, I will do that. Now, finally, I have considered
Honorable,
the wrongs.
let's allow Major submit
is correct.
time.
I do not think that amounts to defending the undefendable.
We need to get out of here in the next few minutes.
I will do it forever.
So no more interjections.
Now, finally, about the
leakage,
leakage now, or corruption now than the past. Maybe it needs a whole day of discussion. But in summary, my view is, when we subject ourselves to IMF World Bank, which he blames us for, the mental cycle change. Behind World Bank IMF intervention was that push all social interventions, whether health, education, or make private. It was actual enforcement of capitalism. So people's psyche changed. Even moral, where you think morally this is wrong. For example, it is morally wrong to be a prostitute. When that introduced, what you think is wrong is not what you think is wrong. Street prostitutes started on Speak Road, okay? Because there's no us, there's no we. So since then, the IMF World Bank interjection into global system, particularly third world countries, it precipitated a lot of corruption. Because
made us more individualistic.
Even individualism, it changed, even moral. And states have to combat that. That is my view to your question. And that is why, when it came in the past government, it wasn't there. It now came at this time. It has affected, include not only fiduciary corruption, but even moral corruption.
Thank you very much, and I think I would still like to explore that as a separate topic at another time. And thank you very much to you all, gentlemen, retired Major Awich, Pollar, Mr. Joseph Ochieno, Honorable Henry Banyenzaki, Dr. Robert Ojiambo, and also Dr. Sarah Bireete, who left us after the first session. My name is Judith. I'm your host. Thank you very much for being a part of this discussion. We've been reflecting on the general state of our roads vis-a-vis the recent letter by the President decrying the deplorable state of our roads and also the corruption that characterizes and holds back a lot of impedes progress in the road sector and also in other sectors. This is a Citizens Chat Show. Drop us a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Be part of the discussion, have your say. But also remember to join us next week, also same time, different discussion, but still similar themes of governance and around there. From us to you all, it is bye-bye. Have yourselves a pleasant afternoon and join us next time.